Uh, yeah, they would say, I would say the boy's mine. I think the boy's back. And boy, baby got back. Never understood the baby back rib thing because for some reason we pay so much to get ribs, but yet you get the least amount of meat out of it. It's almost like they're trying to rib you. Jesus. But yeah. Whew. It's been a crazy 2.5 months. Honestly, didn't know when I'd be back, but here I am. But yeah. So essentially, I moved. And I know you're thinking like, oh, Clint, you were gone for 2.5 months. You must have like moved to Florida or something. That's what I did. But yeah, no, look, man. It was moving, working, like my job created this opportunity where you can work as much as you want, which is great, you know. Well, it's not great, but it's great because, you know, it's nice to do what you want all the time, but it's also nice to have money to do what you want. And honestly, for a whole year, didn't give a fuck about money. But then, when your livelihood's at stake, you know what you all of a sudden care about? You all of a sudden care about money. Because I want to be able to buy mayo without being, being like, damn. You don't want to go off-brand on the mayo. Because then it kind of just feels like you're tasting deviled eggs. And boy, the devil has been cracking my egg. And I'm storing. But yeah. Moving. My job. And then my car. And that's kind of why we're here. Because I got nothing else to do. So I have no more excuses not to do this. And I'm going to be honest. This is my second recording. And I already fucking hate the intro. But we're going to do it anyways. Because it's like they say. For every bad intro, there's a girl that's ready to say hey. Then you say hey. And then she's like, hey. For some reason, when you say hey, and they respond hey, it's not the same hey. But then you're like, hey there. And she's like, you can hit the hey over there. All right. But yeah. It's not been a hey, how you doing type of feeling. It's been but yeah. Welcome to episode 176 of the Often Be podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on all apps, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen and everything in between, don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah, a lot of shit going on. When you have a lot of shit, you know what else you gotta do? You gotta shit a lot. And I gotta tell you, man, I hate deviled eggs, but my farts, man, they've been the devil's gift to earth. You know, maybe our farts actually come from the devil. Now that I think about it. You know, maybe Jesus provides us the resource of all these good options we can put in our bodies. And then when you consume stuff that puts bad out into the world, it's like they say, you are what you put out into the world. So if I'm always leaving some wind behind, I guess I'm leaving the devil's scent. Maybe that's why I don't really like air freshener. Because maybe air freshener is just, the devil's way to access where you're at. And maybe as a because now I actually have a bracelet that says Jesus loves you. It's like, well, he loves some of us. He definitely loves me. I mean, look at the boy. But now I got to think about who made more of me, Jesus or the devil. And I don't know, but when I eat eggs, it's a deviled egg. Okay. I'm having a little too much fun with myself. I'm trying to get myself back in. See, I'll just look. Here's what I'm pissed off about. And maybe I'll be all right after this. I recorded a whole episode, and I was so happy. It was the best comeback episode in the history of comebacks. Like, I came so far back. Like, she had to be 6'11". That's how good this come on the back was. But then when you find out, you have this great feeling, You're like, damn. Like, if you ever done something, you're like, man, that was just fucking great. Ever had a great workout and you're like, yeah. Like, this is going to, like, change some things. This is the type of shit where you're like, yeah. I created an episode that could have changed my future. It could have been the one that got 10 million views. It could have been the one that put $20,000 in ad revenue. But God's like, you know what, Clint? You're not ready for that. So I'm going to make sure the audio isn't there for you. Well, you know what, God? If you didn't want me to have audio, you should just not give me a voice. How about that? I don't know. Well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it'll be like Bruce Almighty. Be like, say less. And literally, I'll be saying less. Tell me more. I can't because lung cancer runs in the family. Jesus, this got dark. Jesus, it don't matter to me. Yeah, kind of does actually. But yeah, look, man. But yeah, no. Getting back on subject here. Yeah, look. This is the grand return. Look, when your child, I look at it like this, right? If you have a child that you love, you have a child you love. You have a young son. And randomly one day he runs away to a girl to Oklahoma. To protest the non-GMO corn that they're growing out there. Oh, no more Monsanto on the corn. And they're doing all that. He falls in love. Dyes his hair blue. Because you know what? Blue is the warmest color. At least that's what that movie said. But, I guess I've never seen a blue waffle. Oh, Jesus. Well, good thing I have waffle mix now. Just not a waffle maker. So I guess I'll be waffling back and forth with that one. All right, Clint. Sorry, just buttering you up. All right. Oh, I love baby oil. But yeah, should I make mini waffles or big waffles? I don't know. I guess you should make waffles the size of your tax bracket. So, just throw the waffles away. But now, look. If my son were to do that, and then they were to return, like they would cut all contacts because, he joined a cult to, praise Charles Manson and his everlasting civic duties because he was run by the CIA and actually a secret type of psychedelic and psilocybin thing. You know what? I just say he's being young. He's living life. He's exploring. And he runs away with a young lady. It's called young love. They make mistakes. If your son comes back when it inevitably fails, and they come back to what they know is best, and that's working for your lawn care company, you accept them back in your home and you ask no questions. So when you watch this, don't ask any questions. All right? I'm a busy man. I'm making big bank. Let's just say I was, I was working so much because I was making like $1,000 a week. So I guess I made a couple $1,000, then I freaked it. And this podcast is about to, freaking take a nosedive. But luckily, I'm on the go down and nosedive and get an itchy nose in the process. Fuck Nair. I don't know if you guys have ever got an itchy nose because of Nair, but it's let's just say you're scratching the surface. You feel like Pinocchio actually down there. It's like Pinocchio if he had if he just had like a little what are those praying mantis on your nose. Never understood the praying mantis. What the fuck they do? They just have long little nails and they don't even do anything. They just look like pieces of long grass. And one time, I remember like in elementary school, I smashed a bug. This fly was flying around and we were doing a fire drill with no fire, of course. And this praying mantis was just, or not praying mantis, but this little fly was just flying around. And I had enough. I took matters in my own hands. And I clapped it like you would some cheeks. But apparently, the supervisor next to me did not take it tongue in cheek. She just took quite the opposite. She was actually very upset. She was like, "How dare you?" It's like, "We don't kill insects here." It's like, well, then maybe call pest control so we don't have them in the fucking building. Or maybe don't do a fire drill at 9 a.m. and leave all the fucking doors open. How about that? Like, why the fuck do we need to do fire drills to just get in line? And we take our sweet-ass time getting out of the building. If a real fire drill is happening, I'm not taking 2 steps behind someone, waiting 3 seconds for them to get through the double doors just to be safe so everyone doesn't combine. Like, no, I'm getting the fuck out. It actually does not prepare you if a fire drill happens. And you know what? They would move different if they have fire ants on their ass. But yeah. But now, look. Then, I was working a lot. Living in my mom's for a period of time. It all, it's crazy how everything just happens at the same time. You move out of a place. Your job has unlimited hours you can work. And then you're living at home rent-free during that time, relatively. Because trust me, there was a price to pay, all right? Yeah, peace of mind. Tell me if you want me. And I hated it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Jesus, yeah. That was tough stuff. But, gotta do what you gotta do. And I always appreciate the hospitality. And sometimes I wish I was in a mental hospital. And then I moved in my place. And it's great. It's actually really well. I love it. And 3 weeks go by. Still didn't do my podcast. But fortunately, I got a little inspiration from someone close to my life. Sometimes like you just have those moments with someone and it like re-sparks something in you. It's hard to explain. But it's not even a direct thing like, I really want, this and that. It's just like, it kind of eases things and it makes you more motivated to get back to what you enjoy. Like the simple things. Like you make all these sacrifices and stuff to make shit happen, but then you got to draw yourself back to remember the sacrifice is supposed to be a temporary thing, not this everyday long lasting thing. Like it was like getting back on the ball. And, my ball has another ball. Oh, Jesus, I shouldn't say that out loud. Oh, but here we are. Honey, now. That's what happens when you're thinking out loud. But yeah. And, you just have those moments with someone. And they just kind of bring that inspiration back to you. And it's hard to explain and quantify. It's not a direct thing they say. It's just more of like the tone, the comfort it gives you. And it really puts that back in your mind. And all the bullshit being in your head about it, you just fucking like, you know what? It's time. And now, breaking news, I have triplets. No, I'm kidding. Not yet. Who knows? Knowing my seed count, I'm like a NCAA seed bracket. I probably have 64 at a time if I really want it. God forbid we have expansion. It's basically the Nick Cannon bracket. Actually, I did the math. Nick Cannon, at this rate, he's having 2 women pregnant at a time. That means if If he's having like 5, 8, 4, or 3 or 4 a year, in 10 years, that's 40 kids. That's like 3.5 cheaper by the dozen movies. The culture version. And by the way, I don't know if you know, but I've been on this island vibe recently. I've been eating Caribbean jerk sauce, so I like to spice it up. Yeah, and also, you done know. Even though it sounds like a leprechaun, I'm your lucky chando. Hey. And then I'm pretty sure if I was actually at a dance floor now, like, look, I was a man. I've always been able to sway, like 5 Fingers of Death, sway universe, type of thing. I've always had like a little bit of a natural rhythm. But now, I think I got like rhythm. I got the type of rhythm that when you come out of the womb, you're like, damn, I'm going to have to like find a way to make my kid ugly just to balance it out. Because, you're just going to be a magnet of Brittany Renner's coming after you. But now, I've been really inviting myself into more cultural things, or very, trying different things. And I've really been hearing a lot of Afro beats, I think they call it, I've been hearing a lot of dance hall, I think that's what they call it. That's what the kids say. Come home, the kids will miss you. And I've been really like, I love the music and dancing. Like if I was at a club or like a lounge or something and the music was playing, because we all know when that music on, the ladies do all the work. You just got to sit there and do your little chest bump thing. Keep it cool. Keep your hands, keep your elbows parallel. Keep your hands up, but not too high. Just like chest level high. Don't move it more than 3/4 inch in either direction. And you do a little Yahtzee shake with the cup. And then, maybe she'll throw a couple dice on it. You know what I'm saying? Roll a number. And, that's how many minutes she'll last. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, that's the beautiful thing. Is that, like, as a dude, you don't even have to do most of the work. You just sit back. You just relax. And the work's done for you. But I've been really getting into the music. But as I'm getting into the music, I notice one trouble I've been having is I can't understand, I don't listen well. I'm not a good listener when it comes to lyrics per se. It has to be very blatant what they're saying. But a lot of it, it's like the voice is silenced down to mix in with the music more, where the lyrics aren't distracting. But the lyrics are there. They quote unquote catch a vibe. Now, as a man who can catch a vibe, well, here's the thing. I don't really catch things. I create vibes. Typically, I have to create. I'm someone, I can't follow things. I have to be the thing. So, as a man, when I do my little 1-2 step, left and right to left. That's why I can't even do the 1-2 step, right? I can barely do the electric slide. Like, I could pay an electric bill, and then they could slide it out of my account, but that's about it. I can't follow that. I could pull a lawnmower, but I can't do the lawnmower. I can mow the grass. I can't stop, drop, and roll. Drop and rolling in the air, 80 feet in the air at 90 miles per hour. But hey, the wind's gusting. Why have winds gusting when something else can be busta? Because you're a busta, as TLC would say. Jesus. Am I a buster? Maybe off Arthur. Arthur's an aardvark. And I don't even know what... I think an aardvark is just an anteater. Speaking of ants... What's the point of an anteater? You just go around eating ants? Like, why isn't there a praying mantis eater? Why isn't there a cockroach eater? Why isn't there a lamp eater? Why isn't there a snake eater? We just have, apparently I see a horse getting eaten by a griffin. That's about it. But, damn, anime tits are so different, though. Jesus Christ. For some reason, they're like, damn, I wish those were real. I mean, nothing wrong with a pair of anime. Eat the cake like anime. Eat the cake, damn, we demand great. Order Domino's and take off all the clothes. You know how I go make the pizza man wait and then ring the doorbell. But I don't have a doorbell, so just knock on the wood. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Jesus. But yeah, it's more instant than my rice cooker. But yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, look, just knocking the rust off. It's okay. I'm getting there. Shawty, I can take you there. You know I can take ya. But yeah, no, I've been really vibing with it. I've actually grown to like it. Not that I didn't like it before, but I've been ingrained by the mainstream, watered down version of Drake, for the masses, for people that look like me, to quote unquote act like, man, I really like that dance hall. And then everyone that actually likes dance hall and everyone's actually from, that style of music is like, we fucking hate Drake with all well, they don't hate Drake, but they absolutely don't consider that real. They consider that some they play on words of popcorn because he makes it pop like a kettle and kettle to the metal. But anyways, yeah, no, look, I am someone, I do not follow directions. I create directions. And it may not still work, but the directions are there to say you follow directions. And you know me, and it's ironic that someone who hates directions has to create directions for others to follow directions, even though if they were to ask me, hey, how do I do this? I would be like, I don't really have direction for your directions that I created. It's crazy how that works. It's called passive aggressive, I think. Ooh. Well, but yeah, the only thing that should be passive is throwing it back, and the only thing aggressive is throwing it in. All right. But yeah, transition. That's gonna be my new transition. Anytime I just transition out of topics randomly, instead of putting in soundbite, I'm just gonna say which, by the way, apparently there's these Band 11. It's called the Band 11. See, when you have time and you take time away, not on purpose, I didn't take time away, but I actually had time to just listen and enjoy stuff without worrying about if I have to go on and talk about something, make it interesting, blah, blah, blah. So apparently there's these Band 11 cartoons, which obviously there's more than 11 once you see what I'm saying. So there's these Band 11 cartoons from kind of the Looney Tunes series, but it's more owned by Turner Company / Cartoon Network. Because see, there's these Band 11 cartoons where basically they were so insensitive, let's just say. They were so racially racist driven. They were very discriminatory because it basically enhanced all the extreme stereotypes when they were made in the 50s and 60s that were made for a very specific audience to enjoy in a certain way, right? So everything that you would think, kind of like when they do sketches for things and they over-exaggerate an emphasis to try to make it funny, but they did that not because they wanted to make it funny, but because they actually really, that's how they viewed it. And I'm not really going to get in specifics. You can look it up and you can probably assume what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyways, there's these Band 11 cartoons where they own, where they try to make where they're not shared on the internet. They basically, if you try to share it on YouTube or share or whatever, they basically sue you, copyright, and you don't want to deal with that because they have a lot of money and you don't. And so the Turner Company / the people that own the rights to these things, they basically try to keep it hidden, right? But instead of doing that, what they have done over the years is they've done private showings. Like private shows, they're called pre-screening, but they do private shows to kind of, and they say they do it for historical context, right? They do it because, you know what, it's important to see uncomfortable things that happen within a company or uncomfortable things that happen in history. It's important to see those things because it's important to acknowledge that this shit happened, and even under this company's watch, this shit happened. And typically, if a company's been around since the 30s, the 40s, there's probably been some unideal or very not great stuff in their history. Not because they want to like tell everyone like, hey, we acknowledge this stuff and we want to use this as a piece and tool of what it looks like when you create stereotypes and all this stuff. Now they did a demographic to really get a true gauge of what they felt about it. And that's why they didn't show it to the public. And I think when you see stuff like that, it really kind of like, oh, even, you know, people view Ted Turner, for example, as someone who's admirable. He created CNN, he created this, you know, and he did do a lot of stuff. But it just goes to show that even with all this great stuff, there's still these things that trying to hide. Like everyone knows these exist. So what's the point of hiding it? It's like, if you know I have a tattoo of a penguin on my left ass cheek and there's pictures online, if you say like, hey, you might as well see it. So you might as well just let us see. Even though most of them are actually pretty seen. Like, for example, Elmer Fudd used to not look like Elmer Fudd. And I think you can fill in the blanks of what the character used to be. And they even redid a cartoon of a scene, and I saw the before and after. They just changed it and did the same cartoon 18 years later. And literally just took and just replaced Elmer Fudd with the original character. And so, with all that being said, it's crazy to think, why is it that at the end of all the Looney Tunes, it's always, that's all, folks? I think meep meep would be the best outro because it's a nice transition. If I'm a parent and my kids are watching, and at the end of the show, you say, that's all, folks. I'll be like, oh, it's all over. Well, that basically you're signaling to me that the movie, the show, it's over. There's nothing more to be seen. You're not leaving anything there to possibly be like, ooh, you're not capturing my interest. The second I lose interest, experience any culture, we just get obsessed with stealing. Well, not stealing, we just get obsessed with like, ooh, this is new, let me just use it all the time. And yes, I've been using it all the time. It's kind of funny, but I've also been told I sound like a leprechaun when I say it. Oh, I hit a pot of gold and I can't help it. And turn it off, go do something else. And when you say, that's all, folks, you're telling me that's the best I got. Me. Go, pay attention. But you still have to go and follow them. So when you say me, I'm gonna at least give it 5 minutes. Just because you baited me in with the me. So, yeah. Just a thought. You would think these people that have been running these shows for 70 years would think of something different. But hey, what the fuck do I know? I only wear Looney Tunes all the fucking time. I only have 5 pairs of socks. But you know what? Fuck me, right? Yeah. Yeah, I've been eating a lot of veggies and avocado. Well, not a lot of avocado. But you know what you realize about avocado? Avocado is actually very bland. Because what you realize is at these Mexican restaurants or any restaurant you go with guacamole, it's just with all the tomatoes, all the salt and seasonings and whatever the fuck they actually put in the guacamole. I don't even know what they put in it. And honestly, I don't care. But then when I put guacamole in my sandwich, it's like, ugh. It just tastes like I'm eating tapioca pudding. But, with a leprechaun glaze. Nothing's worse than when something's colorful and it tastes like nothing. I could think of a few things. I'm a disgusting, nasty fuck. But yeah, I realized that you actually have to put shit on avocado to make it worth the shit. And don't look, man. And I'll say, first of all, avocados are not even that fucking expensive. Like, I bought them myself. They're not expensive. It's pretty reasonably priced. But then, when you go to these places, when you go to these Dunkin' Donuts, you go to these restaurants, this Panera Bread, oh, here's a half of a avocado tomato turkey sandwich that's the size of my, left kneecap for $11 and some stale bag of chips with some tea and be like, oh, but it's hibiscus cold tea. It's like, I don't give a fuck. It should not be $11 for half of anything. There's nothing that you should go half on. Well, except splitting the bill. But you should never. And it's crazy how I would have to go half on a bill for half a sandwich. That's half of a half. That's a creamer. And you're creaming my pants right now. You're just bleeding me. If I add avocado to avocado for like $1.80. I mean, you just gotta cut it, spoon it out, get rid of the big walnut in it, whatever the fuck that is. Because the appeal of what it sells is insane to me. And I'm starting to realize that when you go grocery shopping, I'm starting to realize, here's the thing, beforehand, price, they just mark up the prices just to barely make a profit. It's like, no, it's actually not. Everything's actually really fucking cheap. Everything is cheap. Oh, but you pay for convenience. Well, you know what? There's nothing convenient about feeling like I just bent over and you spread my cheeks like I cut an avocado and then stuck the avocado up my ass and be like, hey, Would you like a side of cheese dip to, lube it up for you? It's like, yeah, might as well at this point. These places will just dupe you. Or as Dad would say, they just jip you. And that's what I feel like. I feel like these places just jipping. I guess you could say I'm in a jipper mood. Yeah. Whew, this one's a struggle. This is not even 20% as good as the previous episode. But you know what? I appreciate the fanfare. Anyone that has stayed through the period of time, I appreciate it. It really does mean a lot to me. And, I'm pretty sure I lost a few followers and stuff, and that's okay. I haven't even checked my analytics in forever, and that's cool. But just know I don't give a fuck. But yeah. But in some serious, I guess, some serious news. So, I've come across, I've been getting random oh, Jesus. Peanut butter. Whew. Peanut butter jelly. This is not the time. But, Subway. Here's the thing about subs. Subs. Oh, Jesus. A sub above. But sub prices are getting, I don't know how to put it. It's getting pretty outrageous out here. It's crazy. Subway is making this big deal. We got 12 new subs. It's like, okay. Make those good first. Why? You haven't even mastered those 11 subs, but we're going to double the amount of subs we have. When honestly, all your subs taste the same once I put all my toppings on it. Once people put all the shit they get on each sub, it all tastes the same. If you always get mayo, lettuce, tomato, oregano, and all that shit, it sounds like some green bean, tomatoes. Once you put all the 18 toppings that you guys have available on the sandwich, the sub order is obsolete. I don't care if you put some pastrami and Genoa salami. Like, it doesn't matter if you do that. It don't matter if you do turkey breast. And I don't care if you got some new cool Korean pulled barbecue. But it should, no matter what the sub is. Once you $1. Just imagine if I charge for $1 an inch. Yeah, that'd be mad profit. And not just $1 an inch, but let's say $1 an inch for each stroke. So I'm not going to use myself for an example, but I'll just use the national average I think I've seen when I was like 12 years old because, curiosity killed her kitty cat. I think the national average is about 6-ish. So let's just use that. Let's just say 6 inch for every stroke. So each time you stroke in and out of a lovely lady, sorry kids, this got graphic. Viewer discretion advised. Well, you know what they say. You only have to say it when you're 38 minutes in. Viewer discretion advised. That means in 6 strokes, I would make $36. I can make $36 in like 8 seconds of work. That's a pretty good paying job. Like, if you're making 12 an hour, you have to. Now just imagine. And But here's the thing. Let's say you're making 30. It's crazy how the person that makes making 8 an hour would be willing to put in more time and hours to bring home more and to benefit more. While the one making 30 an hour may get a little complacent. Like, hey, I only need to work 4 hours today. I only need to work like 20 hours a week. And I'll be good. I don't need any more. It's a golden opportunity, but you just want to just make enough. While the person making 8 an hour is grinding. They're doing everything they can because they're afraid. They're scared to lose it all. They're scared to have nothing. They're scared that it's never enough. If I'm going to be a single father draining my bank account, at least I can see and reap the benefits and instill my belief system on the kid. Like, look, if you're gonna take my money, I'm gonna at least, invest in you and actually have direct say of the investment. You don't just go invest into a business and be like, keep on that shit. You stay on track. You look at the progression of what you invested in, and you see if it's going in the right direction. You have say. Rolled out to begin with, but you didn't, and that's fine. I'm not here to shame anyone that didn't. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. But it is the most thankless system with no sympathy whatsoever. It is the only thing that matters enough to a man because it involves the I would say it's her loss, but seems like it's her win. Child support is her win, not her loss. But yeah. Oh, by the way, Tory Lanez found guilty. I actually haven't looked into it, but essentially, shoot or shoot, and I guess he gonna have to do more than just say it. Okay. But yeah. And I was actually discussing the child support thing with someone, and I think it shouldn't be this mass, like any law or any type of rule we have. It should not be a one size fits all. Like 20% of what one makes is way more than enough to provide than 20% what someone else can do. Like someone's making $10,000 a month. And they're obligated to get 25%. So what? That's $2,500. It's like, what is a child? What is like? I'm not saying children. It sounds like a lot of unnecessary shit, to be honest. And also, if someone is spending X amount, it shouldn't just be given to the other person. It should be the person who's given the money should be able to put it into what they want to put it into. Doesn't that make sense? Like, why is it automatically like, hey, you had a kid? It's almost like there has to be split responsibility. The person's taking care of the child and I have the money. Then I suggest where the money goes to. And they suggest different, not with the person. It's not that simple. Whatever. But and it's really only in place because most humanity wouldn't be able to figure out between each other if it didn't exist. And it forces people to have to make it work, but also forces people to have less to make sure they get the payments or make sure things are in place because they just the all these manosphere, and then there's the other side where it's all these anti-men and pro-woman and all that stuff, and both worlds need to exist for each biologically or what we're wired to do as men to make sure we're doing need to, and then the other for women to tap into their femininity and to be able to access the parts that actually come natural and bring. So when you do have children, you actually have that already internally in you to give or to have something to pass on, you know? I think now there's so much confusion that it creates a lot of this stuff. And I believe all that does connect. The effects of child support turn men into, as they say, demon time. All right? And it turns I feel a poke in my waist. And I'm not even joking. Like, she could not speak clear for the life of me. But anyways, no, I'm not trying to show. But, and like, I look down, I'm like, oh Jesus. This is not what I thought when they said shorty like mine. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, this would be kind of weird to date someone this short. And I never understand those short girls and want to date like the 6'10" dudes. It's like, I mean, I guess I do get the appeal, you know. He could basically do 4 lateral raises with you and lift you up like a volleyball. But you know what? Not my thing. 5'3" or above, preferably. But yeah, no, anyways, child support. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, no, I do think all these situations really create... all this stuff has brought the worst out of people. And that's why we see all this negativity. I think child support is like the origin of that. It creates resentment. It basically made it like... I think I saw something that said it best, like, and it sounds bad. It's like the term unconditional love. Incentive in a relationship with someone. Like, there has to be. It sounds bad, but it's not. Like, there has to be a reason. There has to be an end game. There has to be benefits for why this thing, whether it's marriage, whether it's moving in with someone, whether it's, you know, getting, like, building assets together with someone, there has to be incentive. And the issue is that there's not really, in today's world, unless you have a really rare good trust with someone or really good work, and you even still gotta be careful then, because, you know, people could change because, you know, you said the wrong thing one day, and they know they can use certain things against you. And so, you gotta be like Dana White's wife. You know, hey, a little slap on New Year's, she still stands by his side. All right, I'm not gonna say do that, but that's the type, you gotta have that type of trust that even when you fuck up in some capacity, that they're not gonna use that to completely, like, bitch you out or like completely fuck you over, unless they decide to leave. But, like, you know, but they're not going to use that as blackmail and stuff, you know. It has to be that real trust with someone. But there has to be incentive. The problem is we want to live in this world where there's just, like, no incentive, and then when dudes decide, like, I'm not going to do that, then be like, oh, well, this is why there's no men today. It's like, well, there's no benefit of doing a lot of that stuff if it's for someone that views it that way anyways. But yeah, sorry. Got a little too, sounds like I'm the one that needs child support. Maybe I didn't get enough. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. All right, you know what? Hopefully the audio came out on this one. If it didn't, then I guess I will just quit the podcast. Nah, I'm not going to do that. But I will definitely have to do some soul searching if it happens 2 times in one night. Because 2 times in one night can be very tiring. But this one will drain the fuck out of me of disappointment. All right, that was episode 176 of the Off and Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, don't forget to suck some titties. And, meep.